What's going on, Master Duel fans? James here again. Yu-Gi-Oh! WCQ's 2024 is about come to a close, or at the time recording that this video is getting posted, it's coming to a close, and one of my favorite decks of all time, as I bring you guys to the deck profile, would be Sky Striker. Sky Striker, as a fan of this deck, played it since the inception of this deck, and realistically, it's been literally one of my favorites of all time in terms of the history's game of Sky Striker. With that being said, let us jump into the deck profile for you guys. So before we get things going, I just wanted to say thank you to the new subs, and thank you to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community, the audience who have been following me, keeping me in check throughout the course of the summer season as of late. And you guys know the drill. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. You guys know the good stuff. With that being said, let us jump into the deck profile. 3 Ray, 2 Rose, basic. The reason why, obviously, I went with the 3-2 ratio. Well, obviously, 3 is the heart and soul. And then the 2 Rose, specifically, is because I literally do not want to see it multiples way too early in the game. But if for some reason, in any testing hands, is where if she is the only striker as of the open-handed, then you should be fine, in a pretty good position to some degree. So, Ray, Rose, basic stuff. So, for the Rays, as a quick effect, tribute this card, special 1 Sky Striker Ace monster from your extra deck to the extra monster zone. And then, while this card is in your graveyard, if a face-up Sky Striker Ace linked monster you control gets killed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, special this card from the graveyard. Each effect once per turn. So the first effect of Ray is that she's really good in terms of dodging every single hand trap ever that targets, which is insane. And it makes it so that whether if they hand trap you or not, you have ways to generate the linked summon massive advantage to some degree. And then Rose, on the other hand, if a Sky Striker Ace monster is more than one, is no more special that isn't Rose outside of the damage step, free special from hand. And then if an opponent's monster in the extra monster zone gets killed by battle or leaves the field just because of your card effect while she's in the graveyard, she gets special summon and does not target negate one face-up monster your opponent controls until the end of this turn. And then each effect of Rose once. And then to join in with the Sky Striker monsters, that would be Phantom Sky Blaster. When it comes to Phantom Sky Blaster, upon normal or flip summon, this lets you generate any number of Sky Blaster tokens up to the number of monsters you control. So the Phantom Sky Blaster and the Hornet Drones, as we go through, is the 2-card OTK of the deck. And these 2 cards by themselves, that's 8,400 damage. And if the opponent doesn't have any answers to stop the Sky Blaster Drones combo, it's basically game over from there on out. So 3 Ray, 2 Rose, and Sky Blaster. These are the only actual monsters in terms of on-field monsters to play. And then the hand traps: Ghost Mourner, Ghost Belle, Ash Blossom, Ghost Ogre. And then the only literal trap I play is 3 Impermanents. So all of these hand traps that's not imperm, all of them are hard once per turn. Ghost Mourner comes up literally in terms of monster hand traps. Ghost Mourner is basically first/second. Ash Blossom is first, and then Ogre comes up on certain scenarios in terms of continuous spells and traps and field spells. You basically stop them to make sure they resolve without effects. And then Ghost Spell, super good for something like Reborn related or Recursion related or even Call By to stop this. And then 3 Impermanence is literally the best one because you literally cannot lose to Dolphin. It can't be Tactics because Tactics is really bad. If any of these hand traps or board breakers are in your hand, if they hand rip you in terms of talents, like if they expect to see any removal or any more hand traps, you just literally outright lose to some degree. And then for the Sky Striker spells, 3 Engage. Actually, I'll just explain this in terms of the Sky Striker spells. Most of them, that's not either multi-roll or field spell. You gotta have no monsters in your main monster zone for this to work. So triple engage, add a Sky Striker card. If you have 3 or more spells, draw one. So it's a Pot of Greed, and it searches any Sky Striker card that's not Mobilize Engage, and it's not once a turn. Afterburners and Jamming Waves. Afterburners is really good for monster heavy, while Jamming Waves is really good for back row decks. And then Afterburners, target 1 face up monster anywhere on the field, kill it. 3 or more spells, does not target, kill 1 spell trap anywhere on the field. While Jamming Waves is target 1 set spell trap anywhere on the field, kill it. 3 or more spells in your grave, does not target, destroy 1 monster anywhere on the field. So Afterburner is mainly for monster heavy, while Jamming Wave is only meant for back row heavy. I originally insisted myself on playing cards such as a second Afterburner, but it's really hard not to deal with back row heavy decks. But basically, you just manage your resources correctly, and you should be in a pretty good spot to some degree. And then 2 Shark Cannons. This is your DD Crow. 3 or more spells, special summon that monster, but it cannot attack, not once a turn. Ego Booster. This card is insane because unaffected by everything else, because most turn 1 standalone boards is usually be Shizuku attempting to get something, and if they imperm or ash you, Ego Booster, protect the Shizuku so that you can continue your search on turn 1 like it's meant to do. And then 3 Widow Anchors. Target 1 face up effect monster anywhere on the field, negate its effects until the end of the turn, and then 3 or more spells in your graveyard. You can actually take that opponent's monster until the end phase. And then the Hornet Drones. This is the card in conjunction with Phantom Skyblaster. Generate a token, obviously. 3 or more spells. The stat lineup is 1500 instead of 0 both ways. As a Dark Warrior level 1. And then, once again, Drones and Skyblaster. That is your 2 card OTK. And then you also have Area 0 and Multi-Roll. When it comes to Area 0 to start off, back in the day, 3 Area 0 used to be nice in terms of increasing your chances to get something out of this, but at the same time, back in the day, it could be terrible as well, because excavating for another copy of 0 makes it so that it wouldn't be able to do anything as much. But at the same time is where if you have removal cards in conjunction with the 0, you're basically able to keep on extending a whole lot to some degree. So hence why I was able to cut down the extra Area 0s just to fit in the only one. So the way how Area 0 works is target 1 other card you control, check the top 3, And then if you happen to come across any excavated Sky Striker cards, monster included, you can have the option to add one. But if you happen to come across a excavated Sky Striker card when doing this, whether if you chose to pick it up or not, that targeted card ends up being sent to the grave. And then if this card in the field zone gets sent to the graveyard because of a card effect, this lets you E-Telly a Sky Striker. And then each effect once per turn. And then multi-roll, this is the heart and soul of all spell cards. Second heart and soul next to engage. So the way how multi-roll works is this lets you target one card, other card you control, send it to the graveyard, and if multi-roll ends up resolving, the very next time you use spell card or effects in terms of activations, your opponent cannot respond at all, which is insane. And then once per turn, during the end phase, you can set Sky Striker spells with different names from your graveyard up to the number of the activation of Sky Striker spells throughout this whole turn. Basically, the recursion effect, this is your so-called Spellbook of Judgment of Sky Striker. And basically, most decks should have no trouble clearing out the multi-roll in terms of Cyclone or Ghost Ogre to some degree, in terms of the activations before the unchainable spells go through. And if anyone asks about resolving the multi-roll like at least more than one time throughout the whole course of the grind game, by the time you resolve multi-roll the second or third time around, you should have been super far ahead of the game state. The game should have been over at that point. So honestly, it's definitely something. And then for the other spells, Cosmic Cyclone, that is your other removal in terms of back row related removal to some degree. And then for the Foolish Goods to toss out, you have the Foolish Goods, toss out a spell trap, we already know what's up. Metaphor Fusion, just for the draw one. And then for the Bamboo Sword package, you got Cursed, Broken, Original, and 3 golden Bamboo Swords. And then going second, 1 Foolish Goods equals 3 spells in the graveyard already. Foolish Goods, toss out Cursed Sword, and then Cursed Sword, if it gets sent to the graveyard, this lets you add any Bamboo Sword from deck to hand that's not a copy of Cursed, which is Original Bamboo Sword. And then when it comes to Original Bamboo Sword, you can send it to the graveyard to convert one of the 2 Bamboo Sword equipped spells, being Cursed or Broken, and then once doing so, you get your golden Bamboo Swords good to go. It's not once a turn, pot agreed, as long as you control a Bamboo Sword equipped spell. And that package is absolutely absurd, especially the fact that if you already resolved multi-roll, they cannot Ash Blossom you because you're basically going to explode the draw power. The golden swords engages, you're basically drawing too much and setting up your whole entire field, which is downright crazy. And then consistency is key because hand advantage and field advantage is what matters more. So the Cursed Sword's actual effect: target one other Bamboo Sword card, basically another Bamboo Sword equipped spell you control, kick it back to the hand, and if you do, the equipped monster can perform a direct attack. And then that effect is once. And then the Original Bamboo Sword, when the equipped monster does battle damage by a direct attack, which of course I do have an extra deck monster that does that, it's a built-in Raigeki, which is nice. And then Broken Sword, it's Broken Sword. And am I missing anything out of this? One copy of Triple Tactics Talent. Most of the times in terms of talents is where if my hand is already that insane, I can either take a look at your hand to rip out more hand traps or board breakers, or in a grind game state is where taking control of one of the monsters just to close out games in terms of reaching lethal in a grind game state. And if obviously, if my hand is awful, we pot agree. Simple as it is. And then extra deck, triple Kagari, triple Shizuku, basic stuff. So Kagari gets you a Sky Striker spell in your graveyard to your hand in terms of in conjunction with literally any striker spells, really. And then Shizuku gets you a Sky Striker spell at the end phase in terms of not having the ones matching off from the graveyard. Kagari does the boost by herself, 100 for every spell, and Shizuku does the debuff to all monsters they have for every spell in your graveyard. And then all of them, in terms of the Sky Striker names, you can only special summon all of the Sky Striker links once per turn each. So you have to be mindful and be careful about your Sky Striker resources to some degree. And then Hayate, this in conjunction with original Bamboo Sword, that's automatically like 99.99% of the time that the original Bamboo Sword, aka Raigeki, comes up a whole lot, which is nice. So aside from the usual direct attack, whether it's she battles or not, after damage count, this lets you Foolish Burial any Sky Striker card, monster, and or spell included. And then Kaina, on the other hand, she's only there for in case everything else seems to go wrong in terms of offensive setups. You can have Kaina block the attack in terms of one of the strongest monsters so that they shouldn't be able to capitalize you on the offensive setups. And then, her other effect can come up for quite a bit, which is each time you activate a Sky Striker spell, card, or the effect, gain 100 life. The life point can come up in terms of fatal errors or mounting a comeback, and it makes it so that life points really do matter to some degree. And then Zeke, Azalea. Zeke comes up like half and half at the time to some degree, and then she's basically a spot removal in terms of face-up monsters to banish. And then in conjunction with Zeke, to gain that 1,000 life, you usually send off either Cursed in terms of having awkward hands, Cursed, Hercules Base, or the Field spell. Same with Metaphor Fusion, just so that Zeke would end up gaining 1,000 attack, and it makes it so that any of your cards that I listed make the graveyard effects more life 9 times out of 10. And then Azalea, she is beyond cracked to some degree. She is your spot removal in any shape or form in terms of upon link summoning. But always remember, ladies and gentlemen, even if you have exactly 3 spells in your graveyard, Azalea still goes, because it's literally in the text saying if you have 3 or less spells in your graveyard, she gets sent. So if you want Azalea to stay after the spot removal resolves, you gotta have at least 4 spells in your graveyard. And then once per turn, at the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, banish 1 spell from your graveyard, kill that opponent's monster. these are all the Sky Striker monsters, Link monsters. And then because I'm playing Phantom Sky Blaster, that means the rest of the extra deck is 2 Link Spiders. Literally any Link 2 of choice, as long as it's generic in terms of like different names, or 2 of something something, as long as it's generic. But the generic Link 2 of choice is Nightmare Phoenix, and then Flame Administrator and Deco Talker. So the Link Spiders and the Deco Talkers, we all know what's up with them from back in the day when the Link era first existed. And then the Nightmare Phoenix, we all know what's up with Nightmare Phoenix. And then Flame Administrator, on the other hand, 2 Cyberse monsters is what it takes to make it. So basically, your 2 Link Spiders equals Flame Administrator. All Link monsters you control gain 800 attack, and you can only control 1 Flame Administrator. So basically, your end board, with the help of Hornet Drones and Sky Blaster, is Deco Talker in the extra monster zone, pointing to Flame Administrator, and literally any of the Sky Striker Link monsters. Technically, any of these with Flame Administrator and Deco Talker, that's 8,400 damage OTK like no tomorrow. And when Cormac Adams and the rest of the Euros guys from the Irish Nationals 2018 played this deck from a long time ago, these guys invested in Phantom Sky Blaster just to perform the 2-card OTK setup, which is ridiculous. So obviously, gotta give credit to where it all first started. So shoutouts to the Irish guys of Cormac Adams and the rest of the guys from Team Curry Bros, who invented the Drones Sky Blaster OTK, which is absolutely insane. And then 1 card you didn't see from this main deck, or couple cards. Rhoda, because I have limited options in terms of searching warriors. Rhoda is one that you didn't see. Forbidden Droplet is another that you didn't see from this list. And I believe that's that for the main deck. And then the reason why I chose not to main Rhoda or Droplet specifically, because my targets are too small, so I had to be mindful of my resources. And then Forbidden Droplet is just a lot harder to draw into. And then 1 card you didn't see, or a couple cards in terms of extra decks. In terms of extra decks that you don't see from the list, it is Topologic Bomber Dragon, Boral Sword Dragon, and or I believe it is, if I can remember, Saryuja Skull Dread. That's the other one. Topologic Bomber, Boral Sword Dragon, and Saryuja Skull Dread. First of all, extra deck space is extremely tight because the fact that I'm playing the Bamboo Sword Engine and Phantom Sky Blaster for starters. So, in terms of not seeing any of the ones that I listed offering an extra deck, in terms of the ones I named, the Link 4s, Boral Sword, I do not have the UR chips to craft it, obviously, but we'll get there one day. And then Saryuja Skull Dread, again, space is too tight to some degree, but at the same time, if I were to make space for Saryuja, it's drones with Sky Blaster with only 1 token. So Sky Blaster token, Sky Blaster, the Hornet Drones, and the Kagari from the extra zone. That's already Saryuja right there. And especially the fact that draw 4 is really, really great. But the problem is you automatically lost to Droll. Oh, and speaking of losing to Droll, another spell card that I do not play in this deck, which of course I forgot about all this time, would be Call by the Grave. Basically, space is way too tight in terms of main deck, and I have no clue in terms of what to take out. But at the same time, Shark Cannon is a card, but the problem is its effects are still live, even if I were to use the Shark Cannon in any certain scenarios. And then Topologic Bomber Dragon, on the other hand, about why it's not in there. I mean, the card can be okay in mirror matches specifically, but it's mainly for like super monster heavy boards. And it makes it so that at any given time where if they try to spam out super monster heavy boards, you can just literally outright either flip up the Hornet Drones at the ready, or Shark Cannon, steal one of their monsters, as long as you have 3 spells in your graveyard, and then you are able to explode the whole main monster zone from there with the help of Bomber Dragon. And other than that, if there's any changes to make out of this, honestly, one of the extra sharks should be Call by the Grave. And then the extra deck space, on the other hand, based off from the ones I listed, assuming that if I have the space to take out something in terms of different engines to some degree, then it's a possibility to fit into Link 4s, but I'll still keep on experimenting more and more from there on out. But anyways, this is James Polk once again saying thank you to everybody who have been participating in the WCQs 2024. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if you haven't already, smash the notification bell to keep yourself constantly updated. And we'll catch you guys next time.